Welcome everyone to Sysco Canada's virtual kitchen. We're super happy today to have our buddy Matt Radusky back with Floating Leaf. Matt, welcome back.
Thanks, Jay. Good to be back.
Awesome. And we have super cool Chef François Murphy. Chef, welcome back.
Thanks, Jay. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. So today we're going to be cooking holiday plant-based ideas, Chef.
Yeah, that's right. I've got a really good plant-based main dish. And then we're also going to do one of our classic comfort foods. We're going to do a nice plant-based cheese sauce for a mac and cheese.
Can you use that cheese sauce and nachos?
You certainly can. It fits the bill.
Okay, I'm sold. That is awesome. So, it is a huge trend on plant-based. I wouldn't say it's a trend. It's just how do we call it? What do you call when you don't call it a trend? It's a movement. It's a shift.
Yeah.
It's a movement, right? Yeah. And I love it. I love this subject. So, you know what? I'm going to talk with Matt a little bit here for a second, and then we're going to get right into it, Chef.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So, Mr. Radusky.
Justin.
Is this a trend that you believe from being like a main ingredient in a lot of these dishes? What do you think this trend's going to look like as we move into 2021?
I think it's going to gain a lot of speed. Just with the state that the world we're living in now, everyone is getting a lot more health conscious in general, and a plant-based diet it helps in a lot of ways when you're cooking with them. It's very cost effective to introduce in your diet, especially restaurant level. Adding in legumes and grains and beans and stuff like that is very affordable to do, and you can also use them in a multi range of products. You got to think about it. There's so many different types of lentils and beans and quinoas and hemps and stuff, but you can flavor them any way you want. So you can fit them into any kind of ethnic cuisine that you want, any kind of dish. Like Chef's going to do some holiday dishes here today. Can't wait to see them. But yeah, they can be the star of the plate. They can be a side dish in the bowl. What we're seeing right now is a lot of these people coming up with meal kit ideas and using grains basically as the staple in there. Because again, they're really quick to cook too. The majority of our blends of Floating Leaf and stuff are 20 minutes, which is very reasonable. So restaurants are preparing the kits and then sending them home. The other great thing about the plant-based movement is that it is going back into the health aspect of it is going into the new year. Everyone wants to be healthy as well. That's just the kind of common knowledge at this point. So yeah, we're looking forward to see what restaurants are going to be coming up with and how they're going to be using Floating Leaf products in the future with this plant-based movement.
Yeah, it is definitely something when you think of the health benefits of it as well. Less heart attacks, better, less.
Totally.
Overall better.
Yeah, I was reading, Jay, in the Harvard Medical Journal, not that I spend much time in that at all. But it was talking about, just a plant-based diet, more of that Mediterranean style, like beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, veggies, and fruits. But what it does overall, it's hard to make claims, you don't want to make claims, but it does lower, exactly like you're saying, heart disease, diabetes, depression. Depression is kind of a big one right these days as well. Blood pressure, and then the idea that you can live longer by eating more plant-based foods.
Yeah, and that's what I think we're really going to see more and more as people get more attached to looking at food that does stuff for them. And this was something that we talked about a couple of years ago, is functional food. But when you see also the environmental impact of what, consuming plant-based diets opposed to protein diets, it's hugely different.
It's huge. That is, Jay, that is a trend moving as well into 2021 is not going away is sustainability, right? No. People care about where their food's coming from, what's happening to the environment. And the good news there, again, is that, like grains and legumes and plant-based stuff, it's good for the environment. Here in Canada, the farmland is just amazing. I'm in Saskatchewan right now, and we're just surrounded by it. And Saskatchewan actually produces 95% of Canada's lentil crop comes out of here. But wow. in the world, the pulses, Canada supplies 35% of the whole world. So you're talking chickpeas, beans, lentils, all that. But Canada for the whole world is 35% of that market.
Wow.
And using our land to do that. So it's so interesting, right? We're growing all this great stuff here. It's good for you. It's cost effective to use. And you can make it taste any way you want, which is fantastic. So it's kind of like a win-win, right? You're supporting local and eating healthier.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very interesting. I saw just the other day in a 2021 trend report that they were showing a menu online, like in an app format, and
Yeah.
the dishes were showing the sustainable or their carbon footprint per dish.
Wow.
And they were showing how that dish and that dish means to the environmental aspects, right?
Yeah.
How much of product is sustainable in it, how much of it was a carbon. And it was almost like the opposite of what we've seen in the past, where it was always showing the calories.
Yeah.
This was showing the environmental footprint
So what do you
per
do?
dish.
Do you think that is going to be something we're going to see in the future as well?
I think it will. I
Yeah.
really do. I think the generations are coming up are being more conscious of where their food's coming from, what it's been doing. I think it's not necessarily been the core to the plant-based diets, but I think it's helped the momentum of the plant-based diets as
Yeah.
people watch shows like Game Changer that's on Netflix. It really
Yep.
shows the environmental impacts and the difference. I had Ethan Brown on my show, the president, I think a president and one of the founders of this movement, on my show a couple months ago, and he was sharing the differences between the sustainable impact between the two, between beef and plant-based, and it was mind-boggling the difference.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think protein's ever going to go away. I think it's always going to be there. People
No.
love it,
Yeah,
but I
they
do believe there'll be some shifts of people just expanding their diets to include plant-based to get their protein.
Yeah. And I think that comes from education, right? It comes from doing
Yeah,
shows like this.
absolutely.
It comes from other people you posted, and Chef that we work with who gives us awesome ideas. But I believe that people are taking that a lot more time to understand the food they're eating, right? Understanding that, yeah, you can get protein from lentils. Like, I mean, wow. And when you mix them with other races like wild rice, you have a complete plant-based protein, which is fantastic. Or ones like on their own, a quinoa, which we grow here in Canada, or hemp seeds. As well, which are gaining some traction as well. Super healthy stuff that we're growing here. People, it's amazing. Like you're talking about social media, just the education that's out there and the interest level where people engaging about what they're eating is pretty awesome.
Really cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to break for commercial, and then we're going to be back with Chef. Chef, you all ready there? You're just standing all nice and polite.
Smells good.
Yep.
And
we're
then we'll
good
be
to go.
back with Chef here, but we're going to run a commercial. That is from Floating Leaf. So be right back. Thank you. All right. Chef, over to you.
Thanks, Jay. So what we're going to be doing first off today is a plant-based cheese sauce. So this has all the notes that we were talking about before the commercial, right? This is really nutritional. The sustainability factor is great, and it's got a really surprising cheesy flavor. So how are we going to do this? Well, what we're going to start with is we're going to get a pot of boiled potatoes and carrots. That's going to be the base of the sauce. The potatoes are going to give it a nice creamy, starchy quality here. I've already boiled these off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take about 1 cup of these potatoes. You don't want to strain them because we're going to keep the water. We're going to use it later to adjust the consistency of the sauce. Now, I've got a nice cup of potatoes. To that, I'm adding about half a cup of carrots. Carrots play mostly the same role, but they're also going to give a really nice color to this dish. So there we go. It's about 1 cup of potatoes and half a cup of carrots, and it's going into a high-powered blender. Now, That's going to be the bulk of the sauce, but we have to get all the flavors just right. So the way we're going to do this is using one of the really popular ingredients in plant-based cooking, and that is nutritional yeast. If you're not familiar with nutritional yeast, this is a product that's actually been around for quite some time. It's over 100 years old. It was first used as a supplement product. It was a nutritional and dietary supplement because it's really rich in B12 and a lot of other great value to it. But the reason we're using it is because it has an unmistakable cheese flavor to it. It's really remarkable how pronounced the cheesy flavor is. We're using half a cup of it for this sauce. And we're just going to go and dunk that right in. Now, don't be fooled by the name. Even though it's called nutritional yeast, this isn't an active yeast. So there's not going to be any fermentation process going on here. It's really for the flavor, and the great nutritional value is like an added bonus. So we've got our cheese flavor. It needs to be rounded out a little bit here. We're going to add a bit of garlic powder and onion powder. And for some tang, a tablespoon of lemon juice. Now that's going to really give us a complete cheese flavor. The one thing that's missing now is the fat content. Any cheese sauce has a bit of fat in it. So we're going to go ahead and add a quarter cup of olive oil. You're not limited to olive oil if you want to make this sauce at home or in your kitchen. You can use pretty much any oil because the flavor is going to be overpowered by the nutritional yeast. That stuff tastes quite strong. A teaspoon of salt to top it off, and we're ready to blend. I'm going to start by adding about a quarter cup of water. Now we'll see this will give us a really thick consistency to the sauce, but that's what we want for mac and cheese. If you want something a little more liquidy, if you're making a dip for your nachos, for example, you can add a bit more of this water and it'll get a thinner consistency. So I'm going to fire this off. It's going to make a little bit of noise, so I apologize for that.
We'll mute you. So Matt, is this something that we can add to rice, to one of your rices?
Yeah, well, the cheese sauce that Chef's making?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, cheese sauce, as you said, the prior Jay, goes well on absolutely anything.
It does.
Not just nachos, rice.
Not just nachos, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Rice or grains. I mean, when you're thinking about it, you see people doing up. Think about like when you're making a risotto, you're using,
I was going to say risotto
cheese and stuff like that. So, but you could use this cheese into that consistency with lentils would be pretty awesome as well.
How many different varieties? How many different varieties does floating leaf carry? Like how many you make?
Items?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, lots. I mean, lots of the items. I mean, not necessarily that we're making them. When it comes into multi-grain blends, would be something that we're actually blending and getting consistent cook times and matching ingredients. Probably have about 10 of those. We do custom blending as well, particular to meet a customer's needs, their food costs and such. Cook times.
Wait.
Pardon?
Was that your beep? But I do want to just mention also is this custom blend. I remember talking to you a while ago about this. This is brilliant. Do you want to talk a little bit more into that, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. So with custom blending, it's basically taking different ingredients and getting them to cook at the same time, but also achieving a pack size that works for an operator, a food cost that's going to work for an operator, and creating that signature blend, whether it's going to be a side dish, whether it's going to be the base of a bowl, whether it's going to be into a salad, into a stew. The nice thing about it is we can create a blend for you that is your signature. So when you can use it in multiple menu applications at your restaurants, and consumers can as well, as everything's unseasoned that we do, which is pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. So I think Chef's ready to pour that cheese sauce.
Yeah, let's see that. I don't want to miss it.
So let me just unmute Chef. There we go. And we'll go over to him.
Good deal.
All right. So that took only about 30 seconds to blend up. It's got a medium consistency here. So you'll see I'm pouring it over this beautiful macaroni here. And this really does come across like the nacho cheese sauce you would find, at a ball game or a football game where you get your nacho chips. It really reminds me of that. But like you both said, cheese sauce has a lot of applications. So, mac and cheese is just the top of the list. I use a thinner version of this sauce to make scalloped potatoes. And you can do all sorts of different things with it. You can give it some interesting spices. You can mix in some cayenne or cumin if you want some heat. But what I'm going to do with this, once I've really covered these really nice noodles is I'm going to give it a little crust, and then I'm going to go back in the oven and bake it. I love baked mac and cheese. It is one of my favorite comfort foods. And I'm going to stick with the theme here, which is a hemp seed pasta. I'm going to cover it with some hemp seeds and breadcrumbs. It'll give it a nice crust on top.
So, Chef, that's better than just regular breadcrumbs, right?
Absolutely. The hemp seeds add a lot of nutritional value to this. Never
Can
mind
you
all
get
of
roasted? Can you get roasted hemp seeds? Matt, is that something that is out there?
Yeah, there's whole roasted hemp seeds. Absolutely. There's people who are producing those. But as per Chef there, this is a hemp heart that he's using. So it's a cracked one.
Okay.
And when you do that, because it is an oil seed, they roast up really well. I made a shepherdless pie the other day, and then I toasted up just in the pan, like literally 20 seconds, the hemp seeds, and then garnished the same way that basically Chef was on.
No way.
It just adds that toastiness to it. So yeah, this looks amazing.
Yeah, it definitely adds a really nice flavor. So, I mean, there's a few great things about this sauce and this dish, the way it comes together. One, all the different nutritional value you're getting in this plant-based cheese sauce, right? You're getting vegetables, you're getting oils, you're getting all sorts of added nutritional supplements from the yeast. On top of that, it has a better shelf life. The cost is lower than a dairy product. So this thing is very versatile. It's a very simple recipe, but you can use it in all sorts of applications. And we're going to use it for the next dish that when we come back. I'm going to throw this in the oven.
So you mean that cheese sauce is a lot healthier than the stuff I get at late at night at 2 in the Matt?
Well, you've already covered all this different health benefits, whether it's for the heart, for your personal health, for the planet, for the environment. This thing hits all the right notes.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
I've cooked a bit with that nutritional yeast before too. We put it on popcorn just straight up as seasoning, and I mean it is so flavorful. And then to know again that something's good for you while you're consuming it, I mean, kind of makes you feel a little bit better.
That's right. Right. Absolutely. So, Chef, so how long do you bake that in the oven for?
Well, the pasta was already cooked through. I left it al dente, and so I'm only going to put it in at 350 for about 15 to 20 minutes. The sauce will boil into the pasta a little bit more, and those hemp seeds will get nice and roasted on top.
Now, can you freeze that and then cook it later?
Yep, this sauce freezes on its own very well. You can portion it off, and then you can thaw it. It's a water-based sauce, right?
Yeah.
Boiled vegetables and water. It's the only thing that's going to increase the perishability is the lemon juice. But
I had a quick question for you, Chef. So on that cheese sauce, when you reheat it and stuff, is there any chance of it breaking?
Oh no, it stays. It'll keep that consistency. It's just pureed potatoes, right? It's a potato puree.
That's awesome in itself, right? Because lots of time when you're getting a sauce like that, they can start to break. The oils are going to start to come out of it. So, yeah. You
know what's interesting as well is that you can put it on a plant-based burger, right?
Yeah.
Because there is there is some cheeses out there that a lot of people may not like that's plant-based, that this would be a great option for that cheesy burger, right? Or poutine.
Yeah.
Poutine, big time. There you
go. Boom. Not a chef. I'm not a chef.
You just changed the world.
Change the world. Exactly.
Yeah.
One plant-based meal at a time. Right?
That's right.
That is awesome. So what's up next, Chef?
Our next dish is a very holiday central dish. This is one that I do every holiday season, and we're taking acorn squash, and we're going to be stuffing it with a mix of lentils and grains, all sorts of great pulses. We're going to pack it full of flavor, full of proteins, and it can really hold its own as a main dish, I think.
Oh wow!
So
we have a comment here saying that Jennifer's made vegan Parmesan using cashew nuts and nutritional yeast. Wow.
Yeah, that's a very cool one. So in a blender, you just mix nuts, nutritional yeast, and then seasoning with salt. You blend it up, not too, like if you're using a high-powered blender, you don't want to turn it into a cream. You just want to pulse it to get that really fine, granular cashew nuts, right? You're crumbling it into a little dust. And then with the nutritional yeast and the salt, your flavor's there. So it's like a little Parmesan sprinkle.
I know you're a little biased, Chef, but I have to ask you this question. Do you think plant-based foods have more of a array of flavors than, let's say, a lot of our old traditional food that today we make it based on plant-based diets?
I think plant-based food forces you to go explore all those other
Yeah.
flavors.
Yeah,
Like,
because I just even think on your cheese sauce here is the different flavor profiles you're going to get out of that, all the different things you did is going to be amazing on different things you're going to taste through that, enjoying that meal than maybe you would just having regular cheese sauce in the old days, right? And I see this a lot of different food that plant-based. It really does expand and you get to test a whole bunch of different things you may have not have before. Really cool.
yeah, it is very cool. It's by design, right? Because
Yeah.
when we're doing stuff like this, which is an analog cheese sauce, we're trying to recreate a cheese sauce. You have to go and break down those flavors and figure out how you're going to recreate that. So plant-based food has the option to do this very well, right? The culinary knowledge is out there. The chefs have explored all these different avenues. So, but that's only when we're trying to simulate classic animal products. On top of that, plant-based food has all the other dishes, which are just their own thing, like the one we're about to do. This stuffed squash is not trying to replace or recreate a traditional animal protein, right?
Yeah.
So you have both worlds, and within those two worlds, you explore all sorts of different flavors.
But I do believe it does get us into other dishes than just the typical salads and different things that we've had in the past, that it really gets you more focused on a squash in a different way than maybe you would have in the past. Very cool.
Absolutely, especially if you're putting it at the center of the plate, right? You want a plant-based dish, then we're gonna put more emphasis on this. It's not just a little side. You're not getting a side of boiled vegetables. This is the main dish. It has to hold its own, and so we're gonna go hit all sorts of interesting flavor notes.
Well, that's funny because that's what me and Matt were just talking about the other day. Is that I cooked up some of his product and I ate the whole bowl as a main meal, right? Traditionally, a rice dish may be just a side. Do you see that happening a lot, Matt? People eating as their main deals now?
We do for sure, and I think that's a trend that's not going to go away either. That it's been going on. So yeah, no, it's fantastic to see that plant-based becoming, and the grains and the pulses and the legumes we're talking about, becoming the star, the center of the plate, right? They are the dish. They're not just the side on there. I mean, they are great sides too. I mean, there's a side usually on every dish, but it's nice to see them becoming the hero of the plate.
Really does.
Yeah, and like I said before, and they fill you up. They taste great. You can season them any way you want, like Chef talking about here, big bold flavors, and they're nutritious, right? And you feel great after you eat them. You don't feel sluggish and weighed down.
Yeah, I always wonder that why you feel actually really good by eating it.
Yeah,
There's so much mental.
because they're floating leaf grains.
They float.
They float. They make you float.
They make you float. Back to you, Chef.
Okay, well, we're gonna get started on this squash very shortly here. I'm just gonna get set up with my first ingredient, and these are black beluga lentils. So I've had these simmering here. In fact, the broth I used was a veggie broth, but I went and added some pasilla and ancho peppers, right? So this is gonna add all sorts of depth to the lentils itself. A vegetable broth will give them a lot of great flavors, but then these peppers go in and hit some smoky notes. There's a slight chocolatey taste to them. So we're going to have black beluga lentils that have a very, very smoky quality. So that's the first part of what we're going to stuff the squash. The second part is going to be a grain, right? Pairing a grain and lentils goes together for all sorts of reasons. It's been done for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and there's a very good reason. You actually get a complete protein in this dish, right? You're getting all the essential amino acids that you would from any other source of protein, and you're getting them from different sources, right? You're piecing together a dish that's going to be essentially a full meal in its own right. So that next part, that is some black barley, and I love barley for a lot of reasons, but one of them is its texture. Even when it's well cooked, it kind of has this poppiness to it, right? A barley grain pops in your mouth, kind of the way a corn kernel does. So it goes and adds some really cool notes in terms of mouthfeel. So we're going to mix these two together. We're going to saute some onions and get this stuffing ready for an acorn squash.
Chef, can you use that black barley for barley soup?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Barley varieties don't vary too much. They always have that same quality that I was talking about, that poppiness. So a barley soup, this is a great candidate for it.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Now, I'm just going to start heating up my pan. I'm going to get some onions and garlic, and then we're going to mix these all together to get the stuffing ready for the acorn squash.
Well, while we do that, Chef, I'm going to go to a commercial break, and then we'll be back and we'll see this amazing dish.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man.
Wait,
You can't wait?
can't wait.
As your valued and trusted business partner, we understand that you need the freedom and flexibility to choose the way you want to order. Sysco Source allows you to order what you need when you need it on any device. Here's how it works.
Select the order button and click on New. Choose to place your order with a customized order guide or with your order history. Click on a product and voila! All the product information that is most important to you is right at your fingertips. Find product photos, benefits, and nutritional facts, and more. Enter the exact quantity you need, then click Preview to review your order. Click Submit, and your order is instantly sent to Sysco. With Sysco's industry-leading technology, you can get real-time updates with everything happening with your orders. See your invoices and credit memos all from one place. The Source app has everything you need to easily manage all of your inventory product in the palm of your hand. And when you're ready, click Preview to review your total inventory value. Click Close Inventory to complete the work. So what are you waiting for? Start searching for product, placing an order, and managing your inventory wherever you are. Download the Source app. Sysco Source, start placing your orders with ease and confidence today.
All right.
Do you know there's a lot of floating leaf products on Sysco Source?
Sure did.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. Fantastic. We love our partnership with Sysco. That's for sure.
Awesome. Chef, back to you, buddy.
All right. Well, we've got the onions sauteing here. I'm going to let them simmer a little while on low heat. While that's going on, we're going to take a look at this acorn squash. So there's a lot of reasons that I favored this particular squash for this dish. First off, its size, right? Acorn squashes are a lot smaller than butternut varieties. Their shape is very spherical, right? This fits in very well into the palm of my hand, and this is an average sized acorn squash. Sometimes they'll be a little smaller, sometimes a little bigger, but a half squash like this is an excellent sized portion. It'll fit about a few tablespoons of lentils and barley along with the spices and veggies we add. The reason I love this as well is because you get that kind of self-contained meal, right? Once this is stuffed and topped, this can go very easily into all sorts of takeout packages. It fits beautifully on a plate. You can put a row of them if you've got a spread on a table. You can have tons. They're great sized portions, and the skin on these is soft enough to be edible. So you're almost getting that meal in a bowl, all prepackaged together. So I cut this in half, and I roasted it for 45 minutes. Now, I left the seeds and the filling inside. There's a reason for this. When you're roasting them in the oven, if I had scooped all this out, it would have dehydrated a lot more, right? All the water content in the squash would have evaporated out, and you would get a much drier squash. That's fine if you're using it for something like you're making gnocchi or you want fries that are crispy. You want that water evaporated in those cases. But in this dish, I want a nice, moist squash. So now that it's roasted, I'm going to scoop the seeds out. And I'm left with this nice squash that we're going to stuff with these beautiful lentils that are simmered in that ancho and pasilla pepper.
That must smell great.
Matt, you ever done squash like that?
I haven't personally, no, but the fact that Chef's saying that it's edible on the outside, I had no idea. So I will be. Yeah, that's really cool.
What a great dish though for the holidays. When you think about holidays, and we talk a little bit about takeout and delivery being so big with our restaurants right now. I can see this as a great dish for takeout too.
Absolutely. I personally think so. And just like the ingredients they can see Chef using there, I mean, they hold up well, they reheat well. So this is something you can make in advance as well. So it's definitely really friendly for takeout.
It certainly is, right? The portion size of the acorn's great for takeout. And I think, Matt, you mentioned earlier how great lentils and grains can be because of the variety of ways in which you can spice them, right? Lentils and grains on their own are kind of a blank canvas. We can really take this in all sorts of directions. With the squash, we could go in an East Indian direction, add some curry. But in this case, I'm going to try to stick with a more Central American flavor, right? I have pasilla and ancho peppers. So I'm going to add in some cumin, lots of cumin, some coriander seeds here that I've ground. And then a bit of black pepper. Right? You want to be generous with spices in dishes like this. The grains really are a blank canvas. The lentils can soak in all sorts of flavor. That's how we got them simmered with the ancho peppers. So now we're getting all sorts of really interesting flavor notes, and it's going to pair really well with the squash here.
Chef, every time you cook, I literally am taking notes what to do.
Yeah.
Like, I learn something every time, man. That's awesome. Not that I don't from the other 142 shows we've done. Oh, man, there's always something new.
Yeah, and it all looks so good. I mean, it's fantastic. And the presentation that's going to come on this bowl is with the squash is really cool.
It is going to look really cool. Normally, I would let this simmer for a long time and get those flavors really married together. But I really want to show you what this is going to look like once it's plated. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop that in there. Now, I like to really pack these full. I press down on them. That moist squash, it can absorb some of the flavors. So I just pack it in, and then once it starts spilling over the edge a little bit, then we're going to add some garnish. And hey, I mentioned we were going to use this cheese sauce again.
Your favorite, Jay?
No way, man. God. Matt, is there anything that Floating Leaf is coming up with that's new in 2021?
Yeah, Chef was using one of them there. That's a macaroni that we're doing, which is pretty cool. We use hemp oil and the Manitoba assimilated durum wheat, 7-minute cook, which is pretty awesome. It's this is the guy.
Truly Canadian too, right?
Pardon me?
Is it truly Canadian?
100% Canadian. Yeah, ingredients in that guy. And then so that's our focus. We're looking into some pastas for sure. And again, sticking with the healthy eating. And always working on new blends with new ingredients that'll add some diversity to the customers' menus for sure.
That's awesome. Sorry, Chef.
Hey, no worries. So here you have it. That is a great portion, right? Self-contained dish. This is really great for takeout, or like I said, for a holiday spread on the table. I garnished it here with some red peppers for color. We want it to pop a little bit more. Some fresh herbs would work. You could go with rosemary and parsley. The cheese sauce really brings this all home together. This is a really, really filling dish. And like I mentioned, it's a complete protein.
Blows me away. That looks so good.
I know it looks so good as an option for people plant-based, vegan, those kind of things. But what a great dish that's something different.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It would be hearty too, like so much full. Definitely fill you up.
Yeah, this is a very filling dish.
Yeah, that would be totally filling.
Perfect for the holidays too.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites because acorn squash, sometimes they come very small. This is a really good way to portion them off and use them.
Yeah,
Love it. Love it. So is there one more? Do we have one more dish?
I'm sorry, I do not. We only have
I went so fast, I wasn't sure.
But
come on,
Jeff,
Jeff, there's something in the fridge. Go get it.
You know what? Next time, we'll do some poutine. I have a great plant-based poutine recipe. We can use that cheese sauce and take it to another level.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Make sure I'm there.
Awesome. Well, I just can't thank you enough, both of you. Always a blast having you back on our show with these ideas. Love the plant-based ideas. I learn so much every time, and that's why the time goes so fast. So, wow, 30 minutes like that, right? So, but you know what? Both of you have a great holiday too this year. And can't wait to see you in 2021. We're going to have a phenomenal year next year as well in our industry. And we're going to see a lot of these great ideas, I know, on a lot of recipes and a lot of dishes and a lot of menus next year. So thanks again to both of you.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Thank you, Chef, to the HSI there. That's fantastic partnering up with you guys to do these. It's great. It means a lot.
It's always a pleasure. I love to come back to the show, and I look forward to being back next time.
Awesome. Well, for everyone else, guess what? We're back next week for 3 more shows. We only got about 7 left until the end of the year. And it sounds like a few, but it is a lot. A few more ideas to the end of the year. But thank you to everyone else that listened. Great ideas. And that's why we're here. Go out there, support restaurants, get some takeout. If you can dine out still, go and dine out.
Yeah.
But let's support this industry that we all love. So thanks again, Matt, Chef.
Yeah.
All the best.
Thank you.
And we'll see everyone later. Thank you.